But I'm going to show you a video that will shock you, because what he does in this video is tells you that he had a highly classified meeting with his generals and the people around him, and then he goes to disclose the content of that classified meeting. By the way, you can't find this video anywhere either. This video is nowhere to be found anymore. And I used to get letters of angry people telling me that I'm not a pastor anymore because I keep talking about New World Order, and there's no such thing as a New World Order. No one believes in that, and you're crazy and you're a cuckoo. Where are those cowards now? Where are those keyboard warriors now that don't want to come out and say anything? What about the cowards who stand behind the pulpit and actually call themselves legitimate pastors who have walked away from their call and not proclaimed the truth? Let's watch.
You know, we are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
Notice a couple of things that people may not have noticed. You did notice the fact that he was in a secure meeting with the top official. So he disclosed the content of that meeting. Notice that he also disclosed that they were discussing what are acceptable casualties in light of bringing in the other nuance that nobody notices, and that is a liberal world order. He then later on corrects himself and says New World Order. New World Order is the language of the globalists. Liberal world order is the language of the deep staters. He corrected himself immediately. Someone in his ear probably corrected him. But the reality of it is, he basically disclosed to the whole world that there are acceptable casualties of U.S. citizens and the like in order to establish what they want their end game to be. Now you think, my goodness, you still go back and you wonder, well, how in the world are you going to get people to comply? Well, I want you to watch a video of a central banker. This guy is eye-opening. These are the guys that control all the money in the world, who is about to tell you that they are planting the Antichrist economy. He doesn't use those words, but listen to what he says, and listen very carefully to what he has to say. This is video number 1, guys.
Now, in all our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
You just heard him tell you that they're going to have absolute control of all money being spent. And you just heard him tell you that they already have the ability to enforce it. And cash is no good anymore because they can't control it. That's right. But here's a nuance that I want you to see, and people miss it. This will be another one that you won't be able to get after a while. Watch when he goes to use the word absolute control. We're going to play the video again. When he uses the word absolute control, watch where his eyes go. He begins to read a prepared statement. Watch it.
Now, in all our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
He was reading a prepared statement, very likely prepared by the conglomerate of globalists who say they're going to do exactly that. But here's the other part that's hard to understand. So we know he's going to enforce it. We know the Antichrist is going to do all of that stuff. But how are people going to be attracted to this beast image? Because the Bible in Revelation tells us about this beast image that people are going to be attracted to, right? How's it going to work? People don't get it, but they're already being conditioned to worship beast images.